Here's one of my favorite stories with regard to learning. Warren Buffett, who has been one of the top 3 richest men in the world for 25 years. He just bounces around in the top 3 to 5. He's been number 1, number 2, number 3. And he was asked, what is your secret to success? Well, he said there's 2. One, he reads about 5 hours a day. He studies. He studies as much as 500 pages a day. He just reads all the time. And they said, well, where do you get time to read? And it's secret number 2. He says, it's simple. I just say no to everything that is not the 2 or 3 most important things I could be doing at that time. I just simply say no. I don't check my email. I don't go out and spend time with people. I don't get on the phone. I just say no to everything that's not the 2 or 3 things that are most important in my life at that moment. And so he reads all the time and won't let anything get in his way of that. Bill Gates does the same thing. He reads 2 books a week. And I was just watching this program on Bill Gates on Netflix called Inside Bill's Brain. I think it's what it is. It's a three sessions, an hour each. Everybody should watch it. It's just asking him questions about his view of life and what he does. And one of the things is his wife. And they interview his wife. She said once or twice a year, Bill takes a reading week or 2 weeks, and he goes to a cabin on a lake, and he takes 2 briefcases full of books, and he just reads all day and all evening for the entire 7 to 14 days, and then takes notes, reads and takes notes, and then comes back and looks for ways to apply them. Now, he has been, since late 80s and early 90s, the richest man in the world most of the time. Why would this be? It's because he reads and learns and upgrades his skill all the time. When Bill started Microsoft in 1986, Steve Jobs started Apple, and they had 2 different business models. This is one of the things that I will talk about briefly, is your business model. There's 55 different business models that you could use to start and build a business, and 80%, according to Harvard, of people in business are using the wrong model.
Really?
They can't understand why they are not earning the kind of money they want, because they started off with a model that seemed like a good model, or was a copy of the current model, or it seemed to be the right thing, and they backed into the model and they never questioned it. So what I started doing about 5 years ago, and I put in now my 500 to 1,000 hours of study in business model design, and found that this is the most important part of business, is that if you have the wrong model, and there's 7 to 10 parts of a business model, if you have one of those parts, like your pricing is out based on the current market, your business will struggle, if not fail. If your product is the wrong product for the current market that you want to serve today, if your customers are not the right customers for what you sell, just little small elements in the business model, any one of those will cause your business to struggle, suffer, and eventually fail. And most people don't even know about business model design. In fact, I got an email from the president of a big publishing company today asking me if I would design a business model for a new business that they want to go into. We need the right business model for this, because I've taught them, I've trained them on business model design. So it's the same thing. Is if you're in business, are you using the right business model? And how can you tell? It's real simple. Is your sales and your profitability going up and up and up and up and up? And if they're not, you are probably using the wrong business model. So here's Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. They started off at the same time. They both were very successful. Bill Gates' business model was to open the architecture of Microsoft so anybody could design for Microsoft. Anybody could design software and market it and sell it, and Microsoft would have the core software. And then Apple's idea, Steve Jobs, who was by all admissions a difficult person, he wanted to keep it exclusive architecture so that nobody could design for Apple except Apple, so they could get all the profits that were available from using the Apple system. Now, the Apple system was faster, it was easier to use, It was more relaxed. It had more games, everything else. All good stuff. Microsoft was a business system. And so these two systems started off, and within 10 years, Microsoft had 93% of the world market for software. Apple had 3%. And they finally reached the point, they brought, interesting story, by the way, it's off subject, but they finally brought Jobs back into Apple in 2007. 2007, 2008, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And during the previous 10, 15 years, the two founders had been invited onto university stages and television programs to sort of debate and discuss. And Steve Jobs had always denounced Microsoft as being a fuddy-duddy, boring, no excitement, no anything else. And Bill Gates was always gracious. He's always gracious, and he said, yes, but our market share sort of speaks for itself. Steve Jobs comes back in. He looks at the whole company. They show him everything. The company's on the verge of bankruptcy. It's got 2.5 months of cash left. And he said, we're going to need a massive cash injection or the company will die. So who does he call? He calls Bill Gates. He's been bad-mouthing Bill Gates for year after year after year. And the only person he knows personally who's got a lot of money is Bill Gates. So he calls him up and he said, Bill, I'm in tough shape. I need money to stay alive. And you're the only person I know who's got the money. And I want to make a loan. And Bill Gates, it's a well-known story. Bill Gates said, Steve, he said, Apple is too important a company to go broke.
Wow.
He said, I'll help you, but I'll not lend you the money. I'll buy stock. So you don't have to pay it back to me. I'll buy stock in Apple. I'll become a partner with you. And I'll get you all the money that you need to stay alive. And that was the turning point for Apple. And after that, they brought out the iPad, the iPod,
right,
and then the iPhone, and then the iPad, and then the watch and everything else. But it saved his life. It had just that much because Bill Gates had the best business model. And now Apple changed their business model. They opened it up. Anybody can put products onto Apple. Anybody can have products in the Apple store. They changed it completely. But if you have the wrong business model, it can be 93% of the market or 3%. It can be growing and being the richest person in the world decade after decade, or it can be on the verge of bankruptcy after 25 years of work. So that's another interesting thing we'll talk about, because there is such a thing as a personal business model as well. Each person has a personal business model. The business model is the way you generate profits. So there's an equal sign between business model and profit model. And so the amount of money that you're earning is largely determined by the way you are approaching your market and applying your talents and abilities. And most people are doing it wrong. And the way you can tell is because you worry about money. You can tell if you have a good business model because you have so much money, you don't worry about money. And so that'll be one of the things that we will definitely talk about in our seminar, is how do you determine the right business model for you?
Brian, I'm in love with you all over again. I've counted 19 genius ideas that you have just opened us up to, many of which you'll be able to say on my stage. So I'm just going to finish this interview by reminding everybody that the world famous and world loved and deserved love of Brian Tracy is going to be on my stage. We're going to work together in Los Angeles on April 4th and 5th, and in Toronto on May 1, 2, and 3 in the year 2020. Please click on the link. If VIP tickets are still available, you should grab them. You'll get a personal photograph with Brian. You will get lunch every day. You'll get your own registration table, so there's no lineups. You'll get early admission into the room. You'll get front row seating. You'll get a VIP gift bag. There's like a huge bundle of material that you'll get, a huge bundle of value that you'll get. And if it's sold out, then you'll just have to take the general admission, for which you get all the benefits of being in the room for the entire time. And when you have experienced Brian Tracy live in the classroom, it'll be your turning point. You will be changed. You will pick up a gem and it'll change your life. It's not like you'll learn one thing. No, that one thing will change you. It'll be a turning point. Like it was like for me, when I had my first wonderful dinner with Brian 3.5 decades ago and said, gee, I'm just starting. What about this? And how does this work? And he gave me such clear answers. It changed the direction of my business. It changed the direction of my wife's understanding of business before she was even in business. And he's changed the lives of hundreds of millions of people. And you're next. Click on the link. Make sure that you're there. I recommend VIP unless it's sold out. And I'll see you there. I'll see you there. And Brian, I can't wait to see you there. I love you. And every minute I get with you is a joy.
Thank you, Raymond. I look forward to it very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes.
And so I am bringing you, for all of Americans, to Los Angeles, and for all Canadians to Toronto, and for people around the world, they can choose whichever is closer, Toronto or Los Angeles. And you can be in a room with me, but also with this wise master, this Jedi master who preceded me on stage and whom I learned from when I was just a little boy, a boy speaker, and he was already world famous. It's April 4 and 5 in Los Angeles, 2020.
Right.
And May 1, 2, 3 in Toronto in 2020. And there's 2 levels of tickets. Let me just explain. There's general admission, where you come and enjoy all the days and learn like crazy, network. And then there's the VIP, which I strongly recommend because they always sell out first and we can only have a limited number of them. At VIP level, you get a special registration desk so you don't have to wait. You get a special name tag so people can see that you're special. You're first admitted to the room so you can sit where you want. There's VIP sitting right near the front so you get the immediacy of being really close to Brian and myself and the other speakers. But on top of that, you get an individual photograph with Brian Tracy. I don't mean a group photo. I mean you and Brian Tracy, and then the next person and Brian Tracy. But you get your own picture with Brian Tracy and lunch every day. It's an amazing deal. Click on the link and you will be able to choose either Los Angeles or Toronto, and then you'll choose either VIP or general admission, whatever your pocketbook can handle, and be there and come up and hug me and just be grateful and be happy. Because as Brian says, there's no other way to learn but being in a room with a master who has proven his worth over decades, that his words work, his learning works, his teaching works, his lessons work, his books sell because they work. And I am so overjoyed that I am finally, after all these years, correcting a mistake that I brought so many other experts to my stage and not Brian Tracy, my old buddy.
That's very flattering. That's very flattering, Raymond. Thank you. Because I think of you at the same level. I've learned so much from you over the years.